hottest station is now live for your enjoyment with host Iambranded.
I would like to welcome my man, Mr. Corey, in the building on Branded After Dark. Corey, what's up, man?
I'm all right, man. It's going good. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm just trying to make sure that I get this intro right for you as you get ready to step into this arena with these listeners, man. How's life treating you?
Life is good, man. Life is so good, man. I give God praise every day, man, and I'm happy to be here talking to you, Brother Charles, man, and thanks for this opportunity, man. Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Oh, man, the pleasure is all mine. And as I get ready to celebrate my 9-year radio anniversary next Friday, man, I gotta say, like, and I mean it truthfully. When I was talking, I'm like, you know, people like you, and there's others as well that's making me, fall in love with music again. Because sometimes it's a little rough out. It's a little rough out there, in my opinion, as far as just the marketing of it, even some of the music and things like that. But talented people like yourself and others, man, make it great again to be able to just kind of check people out and celebrate the essence of what music is about. So I gotta give you props, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
That's all good. But let me ask you this question first, because a lot of people probably kind of remember, or if they're fans of music, probably listen to Sunglasses at Night and be like, wait a minute, I hadn't heard this before. So tell the listeners a little bit about how you were able to kind of take this song and make it new again, and how did that whole process come to be?
Well, when I was getting ready to start recording my third album, which I'm still in the process of recording, and the album is called, it's actually my name, Carlos, but it's an acronym, and the acronym is Calling All Real Lovers of Sound. So that's the name of the album. And when I was putting this album together, I decided that, you know what, I want to really get a bigger, broader, hit a bigger, broader demographic when I release my third record, and what can I do that will introduce me and reintroduce me to the listening audience, to people who love music. And I thought, well, let me do a song that people know, and a classic song, a Canadian song, because the original songwriter, Corey Hart, is also Canadian. And I thought, well, let me do a song that is a classic Canadian song, but it also has worldwide appeal. And I thought, well, I'll do Sunglasses at Night. And it actually was inspired not only by Corey Hart, but there was another Canadian artist from Toronto. Her name is Divine Brown, and she had done a version of Sunglasses back in 2009, I think it was. So between Corey Hart and Divine Brown inspired me to want to take on and do a new version of this classic Corey Hart Canadian song. And I did a bit of research, and no one had really covered it. It's been covered before, but not really like the way that I was trying to or attempting to make a go at it, because what I wanted to do is, I'm an R&B soul gospel singer. I grew up in R&B soul and gospel, and I thought, well, you know what, I'll give it that pop feel, but bring my vocal stylings to the song that is identifiable to me. So I produced it, and I sent it to Corey Hart, not expecting a response, if at all. He responded within 24 hours saying that he liked what I did, and he gave me his blessing on it. So yeah, it's been having a positive response so far.
Corey Hart, and people can Google that guy and check out his legacy as far as music and things like that. I mean, he's one of those guys that is fairly established in the business of music. So I mean, it was good, and to me, it just kind of goes to show you too, Carlos, that as music is done right, like, some of these people out here is not only approachable, but you can basically work with them and create a lane of appreciation when it comes to, like, your artistic talent at the end of the day. Was that something that was kind of put on display once he heard the music and heard what you did. It was like, wow, like, you know what? I'm a fan again of music too, and I'm a fan of what I put together back in the day.
Well, when he said that, he was impressed with what I did, and he liked the vocal arrangement I did, especially with the background vocals. I did ask him if there was any possibility that him and I can collaborate, even if I would have shoot a video for my version of his song, if he would make an appearance. And he declined that he would be in the video. He said that he would appear in it, but he would shoot a video of himself and then send it to me and we'd put it in. But in terms of collaborating on something musically, that wasn't discussed. But
right,
if the opportunity ever came up for me to, record or write or record with Corey Hart, for sure I'd take it. And he's down to earth guy. So maybe possibly in the future, I'd ask him, I may reach out to him and say, is there any possibility that we can record a song together? Because that that would be a highlight.
No doubt. And to me, I think that'll be a sweet look. And Sweet Aaron's Branded After Dark. Carlos Morgan is our guest live on Nexxlegacy Radio. And when we talk about this song, and you had other songs, and I've listened to your music well before we got together via Sasha. But
yes.
I've always been a supporter of creativity and the way that a certain sound is generated. So musically, when you first discovered you had this gift that you wanted to be able to put out to the masses, how old were you when you did that, and what's pushing your motivation onto levels that has gotten you awards and stuff like that as well?
Well, first and foremost, I'm not afraid nor ashamed to give God all the glory and praise for the gift of music and the blessing of music that he gave me. I give God, Jehovah, all the praise and all the glory for the talent and the gift that he gave me. I grew up singing in church. I started singing at the age of 7, and then my first band that I was in from the age of 12, and I was the youngest member of a 15-piece horn orchestra, and I was the youngest member and the only singer of the band, and so we performed all over Toronto, and sometimes and a few times in New York, and all over Ontario, and a few times in the States, in New York, Cleveland, Tennessee, Boston. We traveled quite a bit, and so then, and then from the age of, then I got to R&B soul from 16, and even in my teenage years, I was singing and dancing, but I wasn't really all too serious about it until I got into my early 20s, and then I realized that this is something I really want to do, and with the life experiences that I had, music was always something that, music was really the only thing that gave me, and it still does to this day, the most joy, the most passion. I feel the most alive, whether I'm recording, whether I'm writing, even if I'm just sitting at my desk and I'm singing or I'm listening to music. If it's music, I still have that passion, that love, and that desire for music, and so it just keeps me. My passion and my passion and my love, I'm in love with music, and that depth of love and passion that I have for music just keeps me going. Even, sometimes I think, I'm a lot more older now. I'm mature, a lot more mature, and sometimes I think I should veer off into another direction, or find another career. But it's just too. It's too much. Music is so much a part of me that I don't see myself doing anything else until the day I die. I'll be singing until the day I die, for real.
Wow. And you know what? And hearing you say that is a breath of fresh air, because we don't get that as much as we used to at one particular time. And we don't hear people say they are in love with. with the art of making music, because people will always say, I am in love with making money because of music, which to me I think is a different deal. Like we all would like to make money doing what we do and what we love to do, because to me, I think if you find a career, you never have to work a day in your life. That's
exactly.
But also I feel like the love affair, like, and you heard me say at the start of the show, and I said it in between of our conversation now, like I've had a love-hate relationship with music based on the fact that it is not appreciated like it once was, or it is not supported like it once was, meaning there's so many people out there will, not buy it. Let's just keep it solid.
Right.
But people will not support those particular artists that you say that is passionate. So, I mean, how do you feel about music in general? You just said that you are in love with music, but when you look at other people's perception of it, does it change your view a little bit, or does it just kind of make you feel like, you know what, eventually it's going to come back around and people will love music for what it really means?
Well, what I've come to understand, especially in the past, say, 10 to 15 years, is that I understand that music, or most artistic outlets, are subjective, be it music, be it dance, be it visual, be it fashion. The arts is one form of, I'd say, of human. We as human beings, and those of us who are, or millions of us who are artistic, it's to the masses, and to the general population, it's a subjective. It's all subjective. So for me, when I see what's going on in music today, and especially in terms of pop music, in my personal opinion, I feel that the depth of music is, the depth and the meaning of music is not like it used to be, going back to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even up to mid 2000, and especially with R&B and hip hop, a lot of the depth of meaning and depth of music has been lost, because again, it's about, it's all about, the music. So like you said, it's all about making money, and it's not, it's not about putting out a message that's going to affect and provoke change in the hearts and the soul, the spirits and minds of us as beings, as human beings, or spiritual beings in this human realm. So for me, what I don't really listen to a lot of pop music or current music right now. I will, I will, like, for example, with this song, "Sunglasses at Night." I thought, like I said before, when I decided, okay, I want to do whatever I can to get back onto radio. Well, what's going on? If I want to hit commercial radio, then I listen to commercial radio and say, okay, well, Rihanna's doing this, Drake is doing this, this is the current sound. Let me do something that's in the current sound. But my heart of hearts, I'm an R&B soul guy. So, I'm listening. I still listen to Luther Vandross. I still listen to Teddy Pendergrass. I listen to Barry White, Marvin Gaye, Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, Charlie Wilson. I listen to, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Jackie Wilson. Those are my teachers. Those are my mentors. Glenn Jones, Freddie Jackson. Those are the guys that listen to Gladys Knight, Patti LaBelle, Dionne Warwick, Whitney Houston, Michael, Prince. Those are my mentors and teachers. If I listen to current artists, like from the 90s, it's Joe. I love Joe. I love Therese. Genuine, Tank. Singers like that. Groups like Blackstreet and Guy.
There you go.
I listen to all them groups, right? But a lot of these new singers nowadays, it's like, okay, okay, it's good for the moment.
Right.
And you see, and I'll be like, it's good for the moment. And I listen to it, and I'll become critical because I become critical because they're all singing the same thing in the same way. You know what I'm saying? Whereas back in the day, even if you listen to an artist like, say, you're going to put on an artist like Keith Sweat and, Keith Sweat, Gerald Levert, Johnny Gill. If they're going to sing about intimacy and lovemaking and being with women, they're doing it in a way that's classy and tasteful, but it had depth and meaning, you know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's who, for me, is like, that's the kind of artist I want to be. So even if I'm saying about going to the club, I want to sing about going to the club, but it's like, yo, I'm feeling this. It's reaching my soul. It's reaching my spirit. It's not just it's like it's not just going over my head or just going in one ear and out the other, and it just has no feeling. There's nothing behind it. I want my music to reach people. So if I'm going to do what's going on in music today, I want to do it differently, like how it was done back in the day, but make it current. You know what I'm saying? Not like what we hear a lot of, in my opinion, what a lot of these artists mostly are doing nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
And I completely 100% agree, because I feel like now, and you mentioned you took me back with so many different artists and so many different groups, and you pair up a Jodeci and Blackstreet. They may have had the same motivation as far as, love songs for a certain lady, but it was done differently. That's why you had fans that appreciated both artists or both groups for what they did. And to me, I think that's important and a perfect point to put out there when we look at today's day and age of music. And as Carlos Morgan is our guest on Sweet Iambranded After Dark, brought to you by Nexxlegacy Radio. Is it tied into the mood of how people are nowadays? Are people, because back then, I mean, granted, I get it. Marriage isn't or wasn't what it once was back in the day, but people were still get married based off the love of each other. That's why you had the Here and Nows by Luther Vandross and certain other songs as well. But then nowadays, it's 2016. People don't glorify it, or it's not as glorified. When I say that, I'm talking about marriage as it once was. Do you think that kind of plays into the sound of music today, where it's like, you get a lot of one-night stand music, but you don't get that actual song that will stand the test of time when it comes to relationships?
Yes, I completely agree with what you just said, because it's music reflects the time. Mm-hmm. We see what's going on in the world today in all aspects of life. There's not, in my opinion, again, my humble opinion, the sanctity and the sanctity and the what's the word? I'm going to say the sanctity of marriage is not honored or as important anymore. So the music the music that we're hearing, we're not hearing about falling in love and staying in love and being in love, and when the rough times come, we're going to work it out, and we're going to and if it doesn't work out, it's like what the Manhattan said. If it doesn't work out, let's kiss and say goodbye. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Nowadays, it's like, hit it, quit it, and gone. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's what we're hearing. That's what we're hearing. Most of the popular music that's happening today. Like today, I was listening to Johnny Gill's self-titled album, and Let's Make the Mood Right from 1996, and I'm like, man, those albums still bump. Johnny Gill's first album that came out in 1990, and the Let's Get the Mood Right album that came out in 1996. Those albums still bump, because you'd be like, man, you feel that. But nowadays it's like,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's just, and for me, like I said before, if I'm going to write a song about going to the club or falling in love, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to do what's going on right now, but my goal is to perform it and write it in a way that it'll take you back to, okay, this is what's happening now musically, but lyrically and delivery, I'm performing in a way to remind you of what Luther Vandross did. You know what I'm saying? Or how Barry White would do when Barry White talked to the. No, you don't find songs where you find guys talking to the ladies anymore like what Barry White did. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. You
don't find that.
To me,
when Michael McCleary. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Carlos, and to me, I think that's what's missing. I mean, what's missing is that, and not only that, what's missing is the genuine nature of how, not just a man, but even in reverse, like, songs about, women. Well, and trust me, there's songs. I'm not gonna say the song to the left, guys, women trying to kick men out, men trying to kick women out is more of a battle of the sexes instead of just like, can we all just love each other and get along? Because, man, Carlos, I ain't gonna lie, like, you know how you was listening to Johnny Gill, I was listening to Joe, Worst Case Scenario, earlier, and I'm like, damn, I probably messed up on a relationship. It made you think back as far as a relationship that you may have messed up on. And I'm like, wow, like I had to sit back and reflect and just step back for a quick minute and just be like, damn, that's wow. You know what? A lot of stuff plays in your head, but that's just the nature of how music is. It's an emotional beast, right? And it's one where it's just like, I think if we all can just like, humble ourselves down and just be like, you know what, it's gonna be cool, then music will be cool again. But I think it's kind of like you got to look in the mirror as a collective music person, right, in order for you to get it, and then you can be able to just say, hey, you know what, I understand what it meant. Like how you mentioned Sam Cooke, or, some classic Jackson 5 joints, or Stevie Wonder, or Lionel Richie, or Commodores, or, the list goes on and on. Like, you could tip your cap and be like, hey, they did it, and they did it when there was really not a lot of money involved in that too. So they had to do it from the bottom of their heart and their God-given talent. So
exactly.
It all ties in, right?
Yeah. So true, brother. So true. And that for me totally ties in. And you see, and for me, and I know there are artists right now. I love Eric Benet, love Anthony Hamilton. Artists like that, that still are keeping that. Eric Roberson is another one. D'Angelo, Music Soul Child. They're keeping the tradition of rhythm and blues and soul music alive. It's not getting that quote unquote commercial success, but they have a core, true fan base that will be like, you know what, they appreciate the music, they appreciate the message, and those are the artists that I and Joe is another one that are still keeping the mantle of rhythm and blues, R&B, soul music alive.
Indeed. You got a second for a couple more quick questions? Just play a track real quick, come back and ask you a couple more questions live on the air.
Absolutely, brother.
This man is definitely a champion as far as his music grind, and I definitely want people to check out all things social media. So check out his SoundCloud, which is soundcloud.com/Carlos-Morgan. Hit up his website, which is carlosmorganmusic.com, twitter.com/Carlos Morgan, and Facebook. Everybody that's on my Facebook, log in and get on his facebook.com/Carlos.Morgan.562. And you said you had the third album is coming out, right? So do you have a timeline on when Carlos is dropping?
It's coming out March 2017. I don't have an official date yet. More than likely be the last the last Tuesday in March 2017. But that's my target date. I don't even know what the date is, but that's going to be my target date.
Okay.
So be looking out for that. I'm going to be releasing another single right after the holidays, and then the album in March. And I'm really excited about this album because it's going to be across. I want to make this album eclectic. It's going to have some pop. It's going to have some I'm gonna have a reggae song on it. I'm gonna have a slight hip hop song on there, some R&B, even a trap song on there, a rock song on there, an indie song on it. But it's all gonna be congruent with the congruent sound of R&B soul. So there's going to be something on there for everybody. It's not going to be like, okay, well, is he trying to be? Who's he trying to be? You're going to know it's me because you're going to know it's me from my voice and how I perform the songs. And it's not going to be a disjointed album. It's not going to be, well, over here you got R&B and I'm swinging way over to the other side with something that is people are going to be like, okay, what is this guy doing? It's like when you hear the rock song, it's going to be like, okay, I hear the rock influence, but I hear Carlos Morgan, the R&B soul in there as well.
Well, I think that's good that you're making that declaration to your fan base and your new fan base, just for the simple fact that and I can't and I'm not going to harp on this because to me I'm all about positivity and we trying to make sure that we continue to grow in our form that's called music because it meant so much to us. But to me I think it's important that you do make a declaration like that because to me it's just albums are so disjointed now. There's so many songs that you be like, wow, like doesn't really tell a story. And to me I come from that cloth where the story is what the album is. So there was plenty of albums that you can listen to cover to cover, top to bottom, 1 through 13, 1 through 17, whatever. And to me it made sense. And I think that's always good to know that you are actually making sure that is out there for the people to check out. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you, bro.
So in general, when it comes to the productivity, the music, the albums coming out, things like that, what's your opinion about, as we talked about the evolution of music, what about the evolution of marketing and radio and how they both still is important? Because I still feel like it's important. And just like music, radio has that, high, low to the point where it's just, it's been stagnant for so long, but I still feel like it's necessary. So in general, when it comes to not just doing shows like this, but just in general, period, how do you feel about just radio? And do you feel like there's still a home for it?
Oh, absolutely. Radio is still, in my opinion, if not the most important aspect of the music industry, it's definitely in the top 3. Because how are people going to hear music or learn about new artists?
Right.
On the other side of that, though, it's unfortunate that what I've been noticing or been hearing a lot lately is that commercial CHR, they don't break new artists, but thank God we have radio stations like yours and radio programs like yours that are willing to break new artists. So if it's internet online radio stations will break new artists, and so to a degree, in my opinion, commercial hit radio is not really necessary because because a lot of people who don't listen to commercial radio because they're regurgitating the same music 24 hours for how many months, they'll keep a Rihanna song on or a Drake song or Beyonce song, and, they're going to play the
and
same
play
songs.
It like 5 times in 1 hour. They'll play it 5 times in 1 hour for the most part, right?
Exactly, and it's ad nauseum, and they'll play it for weeks and months. It's like, okay, there's nobody else, but you can go on your radio stations like yours and many other stations like yours online and hear artists from around the world that you probably would never hear on commercial radio. So radio is extremely important, and I'm very grateful. Like when you just finished playing Forever For You, I'm still smiling. I'm feeling like, man, I'm hearing myself. I'm smiling to myself, man. I feel like a little kid over here. Like I'm hearing it's like the first time I'm hearing my song on radio. So it's like radio is so important. And the other good thing about internet and online radio station is that I find that a lot of the stuff that I hear on radio, it may not be, in my opinion, anyways, the quality of production may not be the best, but it's still getting played. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has a chance to get their songs heard on internet and online radio station, whereas opposed to commercial radio, that's not going to happen. And people who listen to online radio, they want to hear brand new music. They want to hear fresh new music. They want to hear fresh new artists and discover new music and discover new talent. And that can only happen through radio. And thank God for the many internet online radio stations they're on. And Brother Charles, I got to give it up to you, man, for giving me this opportunity to speak. So people who may have never heard of me before will hear, hey, who's this Carlos Morgan? I'll check him out. And I got to thank you and the many other radio stations that play my music. I thank y'all for that from the bottom of my heart, man. I give love and respect to y'all, man, for real.
Man, I think it's an honor, like, to be able to have dialogue, for someone to have this much passion for music in general, which keeps my motivation running, because, we've said it, and always to circle back to how we began as far as our interview is just, to me it's people's appreciation isn't as genuine as it once was. Even artists, they kind of take radio for granted in a sense. New artists, sometimes they kind of feel like they need to have it, or I need to be in a commercial lane in order for me to get noticed. But, I come from that old school where, breaking new artists is dope. Like, I think it's just one of the best things that I feel like anybody could do to create that excitement. Like, I'd love to run tracks and just be like, hey, if you excited like you was driving in the car, and you got out your car and ran around in circles, be like, that's me. Like, for me, I think that's dope. Like, that's dope. And I feel like this when it comes to it. I just think that in general, like, I feel like we all as journalists have a duty to be able to put out good content with people that appreciate it. And, we always try to filter out all the negative, and we try to make sure that we give our listeners and our viewers and people that really have a passion for music an opportunity to hear something new. So all the people in the States, overseas, everywhere else that's tuning in, listening now, and if they took something from this and hearing Carlos Morgan for the first time, and they'd be like, you know what, I'm a fan. I'm going to go on his Instagram, Carlos Morgan Music, right now, and just be like, hey, this is a good look. I appreciate it. I think that goes a long way, and I think that can be able to help start bridging that gap to bring passion back to music.
Very true, very true. And and I think if I believe in humility and being humble, and and again thanking fans, thanking friends. I don't even necessarily like to refer to people as fans. I really want to refer to them as friends and supporters. You know what I'm saying? Because I appreciate the support when people like my music, when they purchase my music, or come to the show, or they say, Carlos, your music, touched my heart, or I was going through a hard time, and and I put your song on, or it brought back a memory. That to me is and that for me as well is motivation. It's humbling. It keeps me inspired. Keeps me going. It drives me. That's so. Supporters are people who enjoy my music and listen to my music, and they're moved by my music. For me, it helps a lot. And then when people hear when new fans hear, or new supporters, hear my music on radio stations like yours, and they reach out and say, I heard your music. I never heard of you before, but I heard your music, and I've been checking you out, and I like what you do. Mm-hmm. Keep going. I'm like, man, thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. That means a lot.
There you go, and that's big. And Sweet Aaron's Branded After Dark, brought to you by Nexxlegacy. Have guest Mr. Carlos Morgan here. You can go check out his website, which is carlosmorganmusic.com. Twitter, Carlos Morgan. Instagram, Carlos Morgan Music. Also Facebook.com/Carlos.Morgan.562. And before we wrap this up, I got to throw a little different kind of question your way. We talked about music and radio and things like that. So, I mean, for the fan base out there that know you through music, what are some things that Carlos Morgan does outside of music? Like, we know you have this passionate love affair, your ride or die with music, but what else do you do in addition to the music that you put out there for the listeners?
Well, I'm a full-time music. I do music full-time, but I have other passions. I am into social justice, and especially one of the things that I'm passionate about is social justice and how it relates to music, and how social justice and how it relates to music and how it affects the behavior and the mentality of young people. As we were speaking earlier, we find that a lot of the music now today, the majority of the music now today, it talks about, going to the club, getting drunk, getting crunked up, getting buzzed up, having, finding a girl, or, getting it on and do your thing and it's done, or, you're getting blazed out of your mind and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I find that, in my personal opinion, that, when I see I'm a very passionate person. I'm very intense, and it does come out in my music. But outside of my music, I'm intrinsically an intense and passionate person. And when I see how music is being used in a way, I find it to be abusive. Music is being used in a way that in my opinion, is abusive to young listeners, and I see that, and I'm like, you know what? Mm-hmm. I'm going to speak up. I speak out about it. I've gone to many schools, and I've talked to a lot of young people about, especially in R&B and hip hop, when they hear these lyrics or see these images, and they personify what they see and hear, and they take on the behavior and the characteristics of what the lyrics may be saying, or the visuals that they're seeing, and then they act out those, be it the lyrics or what they see in their real life,
right.
And they interact with themselves or with each other. I speak to them about those sort of things, and that's something that I'm very passionate about. So outside of writing and producing music, I will speak to young people about, when you're watching these music videos, you're listening to these lyrics, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? And help me understand, because is it sending a positive message to you? And the message that it's sending to you when you are expressing yourself based on what you're hearing, or based off of what you're hearing, or based off of what you're seeing. What's the response and the reaction that you're getting? Is it positive? Is it negative? How are people around you perceiving you? How do you perceive yourself? And it's all relating back to what you're listening and what you're seeing, what music you're listening, or what visuals you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that outside of music, but still related in music, that I speak out about. And there's a program that I created called Sound Perspectives, and it deals with how current contemporary pop music affects the mentality and behavior of young people, right? So again, if I take an artist, that promotes, say, misogyny, or there's misogynistic lyrics in their song, or it talks about racism or sexism or any kind of discrimination, or belittle or demeaning towards women, or talking about how black on black violence, how it promotes gang violence, or this thing about sagging. I don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? Because because a lot of things I realize one of the things, and I learn a lot from these young kids, because they get real with me, and I appreciate it. I'm like, wow, I'm learning from them. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, and I hope that the more that God gives me the ability and the passion for music, that I could use my platform to use the platform that I have to speak to young people and say, you know what, I hear what you're hearing, I see what you're seeing, and I want to talk to you about it. Not in a judgmental way, but in a way that we can understand one another and say, from a person who's a lot older or mature, that could say, you know what, I think, I understand. I know you like the song, you like the beat, and you like the feeling, and you and your friends are vibing and so on and so forth. But how is it affecting you spiritually? How is it affecting you mentally, psychologically? Again, most importantly, spiritually. What is your spirit feeling, and are you aware of that? So that's where I'm coming from with that.
Wow, that's heavy, and I think social justice. I think having dialogue like that with young people is really important now, because there is songs that will motivate folks to either love or hate. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's just really how it is. There isn't really a gray area. It's either or when it comes to certain things that they perceive or perception when it comes to that. Just like some people, if we're going to say when we listen to a song, it makes me think about love, there's got to be songs that's going to make people think about the other thing too. So,
True.
Being able to just dissect that and to figure out why you feel like that and what made you feel. Was it something like, wow, that's pretty deep, man, that's going to make you think back, okay, was it something that was in your past, or is that something in your present, or is that something going on right now here today that's making you feel turned up to the point where you either want to do something to somebody or you feel like you need to express yourself to somebody. So that's really deep. And I need you to do me a favor, Carlos. If you are so pro that, I want to help be an advocate. So you and I, we might have to work together on that, because I think that.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
You're educating me right here tonight, because I'm thinking like, I love forward thinking. I love to make sure that we do what we can for our kids. But this is the first time tonight, and I've done radio almost 9 years, man. So this is the first time tonight that I'm like, wow, you know what? I didn't even think about it like that, and I need to actually help be proactive. So you and I, we need to get together offline, man, and see if we can be able to help these kids.
Oh, for sure, bro. I'm down for that anytime, man. And I'm about. I love collaborating, and I love collaborating and cooperating with other people, because I'm about growing and learning. There's so much more. There's so much that I'm still learning, that I'm still growing about in this business, and there's a lot that I don't know. So, when I have the opportunity to work with other people or to collaborate with other people, and we work in a cooperative, collective team, and there's humility, and there's love, and there's understanding, and there's honest and truthful communication, you know what I'm saying? Then, and if we could be examples for our young people, especially for our young brothers and sisters, the youth, the straight up, I'm going to speak it like it is, our young black brothers and sisters who are out here, who are out here that who are in the struggle, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we who are in positions that are in positions that we could be a beacon of hope or of light, or being a mentor, being a big brother, a big sister, to these our young brothers and sisters that are out here who are lost or who can't find their way. I'm about, if there's anything that I can do, and I have the power to do it, I'm going to do the best that I can. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
And that's where I'm coming from, man.
And I think that's the best thing, that's the best gift you can give outside of the God-given talent of the music that you put out there for us. Like, being proactive and doing that, man, is definitely going to go a super long way as far as, just, rebirthing and continuing the legacy that you actually have. And, as I let you go, man, I not only appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me, man. It don't even seem like we've been online for like an hour, man, but it just seemed like time went by so quick, which is always a good thing, man. It's always a good thing. And not only that, man, I am motivated and appreciative to, your contributions to the music industry and your undying support for a culture that needs that coming from you and others. So I definitely appreciate you. Any shout outs or, last messages you want to send out to the listeners? And for the record, you're going to be back, so just keep that in mind. So you're coming back to the show eventually.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll definitely want to give a shout out to you, to Charles Madison and Branded After Dark radio show. I want to say a special thanks to Sasha Stolz for setting up this interview. Thank you, Sasha. I want to send a shout out to all the people who support my music. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Be looking out for new music to be coming out very soon. And again, just from the bottom of my heart, man, thanks to you again for having me on the show. Thank you, Charles.
Hey, the pleasure is mine. And as I get ready to let you go and play one of your tracks also, but I got to tell you, man, just, stay on that blessed path, man, because, anytime that you can be able to do something as far as, to me, I always feel music is one where you're giving it to us. Like, yeah, we're going to go out and we're going to buy it and we're going to support it, but you're giving your time. Like, to me, a lot of people don't understand, like, doing radio and making music and stuff like that, you got to put some time into the effort to make that happen. So it's not like you may get a 3 or 4 minute track, but that 3 or 4 minute track took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of coordination in order for that to actually go down. So you're not just giving multiple minutes on songs, you're giving actual time spent on creativity. So, we got to give you credit and support you like I know you would with everybody else. So you got credit over here at Nexxlegacy, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, man. And big up to Nexxlegacy, man. Big up to you and the staff and the team over there. Man, big up to y'all, man. Love y'all, man, and keep doing what y'all doing. And thanks for the support you're giving to independent artists and independent music, for people who may not necessarily get on, but with brothers like you that are who have a radio station, the Nexxlegacy, on Nexxlegacy Branded After Dark show. Big up and continued success to you, man. Continued success.
Hey, we're family now, man, so we're going to stay connected, man, and props up top, man. I appreciate you for what you do.
Thank you, brother.
All right, that is the talented, the world-renowned Carlos Morgan. More music on Branded After Dark.
Thank you for listening to the #1 radio station for the people.
Nexxlegacy Radio.